Now, the barbell bicep curl is an exercise that a lot of bros do, but very few do well. And the reason for that is that they're not activating as much of the arm as they could be because they're sacrificing good form for being able to curl the most weight. But if we want to maximally develop the bicep, it makes sense to stimulate as much of it as possible. So the first mistake that I see is that people don't use a full range of motion. They'll take the last bit off and just kind of work with a shortened range of motion. But if you want to stimulate, if you want all of the muscle to grow, you want to go through the fullest range of motion that you can. So starting with a straight arm, I like to slightly bend just to give my arms a bit of clearance so that they can go all the way through. So my arms are straight at the start, and then they start making like a semicircle. Another problem I see is that they don't raise the elbow as they do a curl. Now, that might seem a little bit counterintuitive that you would want to move your elbow up in order to do a bicep curl. And this is a big problem I see with like a preacher curl. The long head of the bicep is actually in charge of raising your hand in front of you. So if you wanted that bit to develop, which is the biggest part of the bicep, it makes sense to slightly lift your arm as you do the bicep. So I always like to imagine when I'm curling to kind of curl and bring the bar to about the bridge of my nose. And that'll stimulate the long head of the bicep a little bit more. You also want to make sure that you're really squeezing as hard as you can your pinkies and almost doing like a reverse karate chop, if that makes sense, and trying to supinate or internally rotate your hands as you do the bicep curl. The reason for that is supination, or like turning your wrist, is where your short head of the bicep is activated the most. So if when you're curling, you're actively trying to supinate, that's going to stimulate the short head a lot more.